The point of no return was reached 20 years ago today, on November 9th, 1989. That is when, with the world watching, thousands of Germans from the East poured across a border that would soon cease to exist. Border guards, at first uncertain in the face of so many, became unwilling and quickly unable to stop them. It was a day of joy in Germany and of relief in Europe. No more would a people be kept apart. No more would Europeans fear that the division of their continent would lead to nuclear war. No more would the state seek to deny, to suppress, and to torment its own citizens. This piece of concrete is a tangible reminder of that. It reminds us that life in East Germany, the so-called German Democratic Republic, so impoverished the soul that the communist government required a wall to prevent its own citizens from leaving. Once, however, there were 160 kilometers of concrete like this around West Berlin to keep East Germans from entering. It was topped with barbed wire and protected by tower guards. It shielded a wide area of raked sand in which guards were ordered to deal with any traitors, anyone who might try and escape across it. So what happened when somebody tried? Not long after the wall went up, a young man named Peter Fechter decided he would no longer live as just a creature of the state. With all the burning passion of youth, he determined to cross the wall and live as a free man. Like the people he could see and hear just meters away over the concrete and barbed wire in West Berlin. A city of light, it must have seemed to him. There he would find no commissars, no secret police, no torturers. And surely the job of a border guard was just to check passports, not really to stop people from leaving. For my friends, thousands of people tried everything to get out of East Germany and the other hostage nations of the East Bloc. Nobody jumped this wall to get in. So Fechter and a friend hid near the wall in a carpenter's shop. The wall was only 2 meters high at the time, half the height it would eventually reach as the communists became increasingly desperate to hold back their restless people. Freedom looked so possible, so close. Choosing their moment carefully, Fechter and his friend ran. Shots were fired. His friend made it over. Fechter did not. Hit in the pelvis, he fell back, and there at the foot of the wall, his government allowed him to bleed to death. No doctor came, no commissar took charge, no border guard dared walk a few short meters to give first aid. In agony from his wounds, Fechter took an hour to die. Peter Fechter was only 18. I tell his story to remind us all of what was overthrown that day the wall came down. The wall the communists built, this wall, was more than a physical division. It symbolized another, darker view of life. Beyond the wall, people lived in freedom, exercised democracy, experienced justice. On the communist side, there was no freedom. Individuals did not matter. Justice and law were only what best served the interests of the state. People belonged to the state and served it. It was the difference between whether the government or whether the people, it was the difference between whether the people choose who governs them or the government chooses the people by choosing who will live and who will not. The difference between a system that is at its heart good and a system that was evil. Not a flawed or inefficient system, but like its totalitarian cousin, fascism, the antithesis of our highest values. One of the two great 20th century threats to the very existence of our civilization. An evil to be understood so that it may never again be repeated. It is profoundly wrong to condemn whole populations based on class, just as it is to condemn them based on race. And it is profoundly evil to seek to resolve political debate through the annihilation of the other side, whether it is called a final solution, the end of history, or any such euphemism. As Canadians, as conservatives, as liberals, as others, we are opponents, but we are not each other's enemies. We are each other's fellow citizens. We battle with ballots, not with bullets. One side wins and accepts the rights and the responsibilities of government. The other lives in opposition and in freedom to fight another day. And so it has been for over 140 years and even longer. And we are all the better for it. But we have done more than just experience and lived under freedom and democracy. Our forebears have fought and died that we may enjoy them. That is why 1 million Canadians joined in the fight against fascism. It is why still more went to Korea. It is why our young men and women today risk their lives to stop the spread of terrorism from and to bring peace and stability to Afghanistan. And it is why, through 4 decades, tens of thousands of Canadian servicemen and women confronted communism in Europe, at the wall, at the Iron Curtain, until the great day came 20 years ago that made it no longer necessary. Its fall united a continent in a hopeful future. Today we reflect with pride the part that Canada played in that downfall, and we celebrate the triumph of ideas that liberate the human spirit over those that bound it in chains, the free and democratic ideals of Canada and its allies. It shall stand as a reminder that all political systems are not the same, that our democracy, that our freedoms are to be cherished, exercised, and protected. This is our history and our inheritance, and may God help us ensure that it will always be so. Merci beaucoup.